Hello, 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 and welcome to Entitled. I'm Bernie Espinosa.
And I'm David Bellinger.
And Entitled, where we talk to entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and the top producers in the real estate industry. And we are in another position of another fabulous guest today,
Yes.
sharing with us some of the most important elements of the real estate business.
Yes.
And just in case you guys aren't familiar yet, we're called Entitled because David and I work in the title industry, wink, wink,
Wink, wink.
for F&F, Lawyers Title. Both of us have been doing this for a minute, since '03 for me.
07 for me.
Yeah. Okay.
long time.
We could touch on that because we haven't talked about that since the Origin episode, which if
Yeah.
you haven't watched it, you should. It's
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do another origin of when we did the origin.
Yes,
story.
the origin of the origin.
Yeah.
But let's get to it. So we've got a fabulous guest today. Scott Vancea is a co-founder of Optimize 5, which is a real estate online branding strategy company, services company. We've really been working with Scott for several years now and his
Yes.
team. And we started off as, we find so many resources in the real estate industry and we talk to agents about they should be leveraging them. And we actually became one of the, we practice what we preached.
We are preaching this one, yeah.
Yeah.
From probably about a week after we met Scott, we jumped on board with him. So we're just not bringing the resource, we're using the resource.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous impact, positive impact on our business for
Yes.
Lawyers Title's presence here in Greater Phoenix, Arizona. And I think it's due time to have Scott come on and
Yes.
talk about what's happening in the online branding and services space.
Yep.
And Scott Vancea, co-founder of Optimize 5, started in 2020 and has worked in the real estate tech space and data analytics for 15 years.
Fancy title.
Yeah.
He does great with Google stuff. That's what I say.
Google him. So Scott, welcome and thank you so much. I hope that we did you some justice there in an introduction.
It was lovely introduction, Bernie and David. Thank you so much, and happy to be here. Happy to chat with you both and talk about the latest and greatest when it comes to online branding, real estate tech, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Start a little bit with, let's just talk a little origin story for you and how you came to start Optimize 5 in 2020. And, maybe share with you what you saw was needed in the business and the importance of that online branding and how basically a website for realtors means something different today than it did before.
Yeah, you're saying all the right things for sure. So I've been in real estate tech, like you said. I've been in real estate tech for a long time, about 15 years. Data analytics side, which I know sounds super exciting, but I worked in a space that was using data analytics to do predictive modeling for movers, buyers, and sellers and all that kind of stuff. But what I noticed very early on was that real estate agents were spending so much time, money, and resources marketing themselves, right? Which makes sense. So if they were doing online ads, door knocking, mailers, buying a big billboard, BNI meetings, coffee meetings, all of this great stuff to build their business. But what was becoming more and more apparent was that no matter how a potential customer was finding a realtor, whether they saw that billboard or was referred to them, right? The best possible way to get intro to a realtor, they were just going to Google them. They're going to Google them before they ever hired them. They were going to look them up online before they ever actually decided to pull the trigger. And what was showing up for agents was actually not the best of them. And so after working in real estate tech for years and years and years, the company that I worked for got acquired by a massive real estate company, and I was out of a job. And I knew right away that there was this opportunity to start sharing this information, being really consultative, like taking this education approach and bringing this information to real estate agents and probably the services. And so in February of 2020,
Nice.
Think about that month.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We remember.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
I decided, it was great. I decided now is the time to start my own business. And as lo and behold, as we all know, it was actually a boon for what I was thinking about, which was amplifying the online brand of a real estate agent weeks before they could no longer, I live in LA.
Right.
There's no more door knocking. There's no more open houses. That was gone. And so the online brand profile of a realtor never became more valuable than March of 2020.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the genesis of this. And yeah, we've learned a lot about what that means that the best of an agent shows up online when someone searches for them.
Yeah. I mean, and what timing?
I mean,
Really
yeah,
great
you can't beat the
timing.
timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say I knew all along, but I had no idea, right? I mean,
Right.
none of us did, right? It wasn't planned by me, but
Well,
yeah,
it's crazy how circumstance elevates necessity, right? And so even though it was something very important that people should be doing in their business, circumstance created urgency. And so,
right,
um,
right.
and that's a good thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it elevated the whole real estate community's desire and how they show up online.
Yeah.
And now we're in even another phase of this technology growth, with AI, right? But when you talk about some of the services that you created and started putting together, how did you really start to generate some traction for that? Like, what were some of your first steps in terms of getting agents to see the importance of where they needed to be investing to really to generate the business, right? A lot of people were buying leads or subscribing to platforms when the reality was, if they're searching for you and can't find you or it looks bad, then this is where you need to start. The first step is really that online optimization, right? For you to be able to showcase to agents the importance of that, what did that sound like for you? What was that transition like? How did you get in front of these agents?
It's a great question, and every real estate agent is their own business. They're entrepreneurs, so I think they'll appreciate that. As a fellow entrepreneur and my business partner Jonathan as well, the way that we looked at this was we did the very first thing, which is the thing that a lot of business owners are afraid to even consider, which is what can we do for free, right? Like because it's like path to revenue is the first thought when you're starting a small business. How quickly can we get to the revenue? And my thinking was, how can I do this for free and build up some critical mass and build some reputation? And to be perfectly frank, that took a couple of weeks. If I could go to a real estate agent or to any small business owner and say, hey, I want to show you something, and it doesn't cost you anything. The first thing that they're going to say, because we're all a little bit weary of something like that from
Yeah.
someone we don't know, is, yeah, but how much does it really cost?
Right.
And if you could say, no, actually, I'm going to make you a video or meet with me for 15 minutes and let me just show you something. And I promise you, there's no cost to this. It's true learning. Most people will go into that conversation. The consumer, in this case, the consumer for me is the actual real estate agent, right? I want them to see value in something that I can bring them today that actually doesn't cost them any money. And that is true leading with education. And so the way that we started was we met with some real estate agents and we said, if we could do this, would this matter to your business? So if I go out for dinner tonight with my wife and the other couple says we're moving to Arcadia, California. I live in Arcadia, California. I know there's an Arcadia where you
Yeah.
guys are as well. Arcadia, California. And I say, oh, you need to work with my friend John Lairzenbar. John Lairzenbar is a real estate agent here. No matter what I say about John, they're going to look you up online before they hire you. If I said that to a real estate agent today, like I did 6 years ago when we started the company, the first thing the realtor says is, of course they do. Of
Right.
course they look now. Well, let's look at what you look at. Let's look at what they see. When I pull that up for somebody and they see it, when the realtor sees that, they go, oh, yes, that's me. There's all these links on the left hand of the side of the page, of the web page. There's my website, there's Zillow, there's realtor.com. They say, great, now look at this realtor. And they look at the difference and they see that this realtor has all those same links, but then they have this panel on the right hand side called the Google Business Profile that shows the best of them. It shows their headshot, it shows their reviews, it shows their products and their postings. In the beginning, when we showed that to real estate agents, they looked at it and said, oh, I don't have that. How do I get that? And then the next step is, here's how you get it. It's free. And then they go, holy
That's
crap.
the real estate industry's favorite F word.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, holy free. And so they see that and they go, great, how do I do that? How do I actually create that? And we say, this is how you create it. And after you've explained all of that, and again, I'm giving you kind of the long-winded version, but essentially it's like they go, like any small business owner who's got a million tasks right? A million things that they want to do, a million initiatives goes, I don't want to do that. Will you do it? And that's where the key question came in. If I did this for you, how much would you pay for it? And in the end of the day, what we ended up doing was we just said, they would tell us and they'd say, well, how much are you going to charge me? And we'd say,
Right.
no. Tell me what you would really pay. I'm going to do it for you for free. And we did it for free. And we did all of the work for free. We bought software, we created their profiles. We did work for free for some real estate agents and other small businesses because we were testing out different markets. And when it was done, they said, I would pay you X amount of dollars if you did this for me. Thank you. This is free. This is great. I know that you're not going to do it for free going forward. I would pay this. And we took that amount and we said, great, we're going to cut that in half.
Wow.
And that's what we'll charge to offer these services, as long as it made sense.
Yeah.
And we had, there was some profit in there. And so that's really how this started was we had a few conversations with real estate agents, showed them what we could do. They said, if you could do that, it's amazing. How much could we charge you for that? We said, well, I don't know, this much. We did it for free. And then they told all of their friends, and that's kind of how it built from there.
It really hasn't changed. And I know when we bring our clients in to meet with you or anybody on your team, that's actually the draw, right? Hey, they're going to, for free, right? The best F word in real estate. They're going to look at your profile and they're going to tell you what's wrong or what's not wrong. And they're going to tell you how to fix it. And from there, it's up to you to decide, do you want them to handle it or do you want to handle it? And we all know how that works. I mean, we went through the same thing internally.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie and I were, in newer positions. We had just merged with a company trying to
Clean up
all the Google business pages out there and the profiles and how we showed up online. We were trying to handle on our own. And we quickly realized after meeting with you, this is not our strongest space that we should be.
It's not the highest and
devoting our
best
time
use
in.
of our time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And
I
we
mean,
were good at it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and the other thing too, I feel like, Scott, the story you took us through was really great, but I almost think oversimplified. The level at which you perform these audits is not just, let me see if you have a Google business profile. You guys are going deep. I mean, the software that you're using, the results that you showcase to folks, when we get our agents in front of Optimize 5 and your team, they're absolutely mind blown by all the different nooks and crannies that you take them through regarding their online presence. And I think that is such a key factor because I think too many of us live on the surface of the internet thinking, oh, we're right here.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all
Yeah,
that this is. This is all that there is, the Google search results, right? But the reality is it runs so much deeper than that. And the way that you guys are able to articulate it, it's almost like you're delivering a manual to them. And then they can decide whether or not they want to hire somebody to take care of the manual or not. The instruction manual. I mean, that's the simplest way to put it for listeners is that you guys provide an instruction manual and then it is on the realtor to decide whether or not they want to do each step.
Yeah, you got it. That's right. And to David's point, when we're meeting with somebody, it's not just looking at Google Business Profile. It's actually trying to take this consumer view of like just what shows up.
Exactly.
Because there's Google Business Profile, there's how it's built, there's your website, there's your social media channels. How do they all play together? How do they work together from a search engine optimization perspective, which again, we don't get too far in the weeds. It depends on who we're talking to. But they want to know that they have influence over all of that because it's what the consumer is going to see. And so we break down from sort of soup to nuts. Here's what's showing up. Here's how you make it better. And here's how you can use it to rank, not just in Google, but impact those AI search results, which is a whole other conversation, which is how consumers are using to find real estate agents and find the best people to work with today as well.
How important is a website now? I feel like websites for realtors has kind of run the gamut of being like, I got to get a website, to then there was social media and people were like, oh, you don't really need a website. It's just a placeholder on the internet. But how has the role of a website changed, evolved? Where is it at today for where we need to go?
It's a really interesting trajectory because it used to be, to your point, you got to have a website, obviously. And a big thing that happened in the industry and is still happening today is this idea that a website isn't just your business card, but it's also a place for consumers to find real estate. And I think that's been the big mismanaged message over the last decade or so, which is realtors being convinced that a consumer is going to go to their website to look for real estate in Scottsdale as opposed to Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin. Like, why would I go to scottsawesomehomes.com to look for real estate unless you drove me
That's
there
right.
with marketing? Right. So those are two different things. There's lead gen, which is like you send me mailers, you do ads, you do online ads, you do something where I click a link and it brings me to your website, and then you, the realtor, get the lead. That's a perfectly valid way of generating opportunity. But to convince a realtor that they should all have IDX on their website because people are going to use that as a source to look for real estate, I think is a, I don't really, I don't think that's proven itself out to be the case. And realtors invest a lot of money and hope in a website that's going to bring them all this opportunity. So, to your point, Bernie, the website value for a lot of real estate agents has changed and gone down because they didn't see it as really that lead gen opportunity that they were told it once was. However, now what we have seen is websites have become even more valuable and more important for a different reason, which is that it's not just your calling card, but especially with the advent of AI search bots, it actually is the single point of truth when it comes to you as a business. And what I mean by that is you've got Realtor.com and Zillow and Redfin and HomeLight and all these different places where your biography or your information as a realtor exists, but none of it is exactly the way you want it to be. Some show your production, some don't. Some show your years in business, some don't. Some just have a name, address, and phone number. Whereas your website can be that place that has all of the information about you as a realtor, which is rich data, which, whether or not the actual consumer lands there, it feeds that data to the internet. It feeds that data to the AIs. And
Mm.
so that's where a lot of that value is on a website now.
That's I think that's what we're seeing as well. Like I love the fact that kind of it's the return of the website. It never
Yeah.
went away, but I do think that a lot of folks kind of let it slip by, like thinking that it was just an online business card. I've got social media. I'm doing my TikToks. I'm doing the this. I mean, that was like their real form of actually grabbing
Yeah.
consumers through the internet. Whereas, I think a website is the stable landing pad, right? It
Well,
is
and it's
the foundation,
especially for, we don't want to forget about the clients they're already working with.
right?
Right. So if they have a database of people that do trust them as a realtor, it is nice to have a website, and the IDX does prove to be
Right.
beneficial for them. And, maybe, I mean, the reality is they can have a client that is alerted for properties from their website. They'll go there, they'll check them out. But 99% of those people, guess what they do? They take that address and they still go look on Zillow.
That's right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
true.
Get more data.
Yeah.
It's true.
Talk a little bit about reviews, because I know that's something you've helped us tremendously with in our company. And how important is that? Like, I think that we all believe that reviews are quote unquote important. And I think there's also this trend of like, everybody just gives 5-star reviews anymore, it seems like, or 1-star reviews. But talk a little bit about the evolution of what you've seen in the review space, how much more important it has become for, agents being successful.
Yeah, again, there's the social proof of the review, right? So the consumers who see those reviews about the agent and like that information, and that helps them to make a yes or no decision. But we really get focused, especially on the technical aspect of the reviews. So obviously, more, say, Google reviews or Zillow reviews are going to get you ranking in those platforms. But the content of the reviews are as important, if not more important. And that's something that a lot of business owners, and I think of real estate agents as they own their own business, of course, don't realize is that there's this technical aspect of reviews whereby realtors have been told to create content for years and years and years, write a blog every day about luxury
Yeah.
real estate in Peoria or all this stuff. But that Google is actually reading the content of the review written by so and so saying that you are the best listing agent in, and that correlates with search query. And so reviews have never been more valuable. The key thing that a lot of business owners need to realize, and this is especially true of real estate, is that where those reviews reside play a huge part in that. So if you're using a review aggregating system that, and you will have heard of many of these different types of platforms where you can aggregate reviews like Bird Eye, and there's a bunch of them where you can get a review in multiple different places. Those are great because it's a quick way to get reviews and get them onto different platforms. But at the end of the day, we always come back to the same question. What does the consumer see? And how does it affect your ability to rank? If a consumer's just going to Google you or go to AI, the first thing that they're likely going to see is a Google business profile, and that's staring them in the face. Those are Google reviews. That doesn't mean you don't get reviews on Zillow or Real Satisfied or in these other platforms, but essentially you want to be really smart about where you're putting your focus on those reviews so that gets you the most biggest bang for your buck. And then, of course, how many times will a consumer actually write a review for you?
Right.
You only have a few shots, maybe one good shot
Yeah.
at getting a really good review. And so you want to be really mindful of where you get that review. And for the most part, we would argue that the best place is probably Google. And that impacts not just Google search, but AI search as well. And a lot of folks listening to this, if people are really getting into the AI space right now, and what we're talking about is different than what other marketing people are talking about with real estate agents. They're usually saying, hey, you should use AI to run your business better, to write a better email, to create better content. But what we're talking about is how is the consumer using AI to vet you?
Ooh, that's critical.
And
Yep.
right. And so the next thing that might pop up, and I want to keep it on the review side here for a minute, is they'll say, well, ChatGPT, which is obviously we know that's what's being used the most right now. Gemini is catching up, and Perplexity and Claude and all those other platforms. ChatGPT, a competitor to Google, still uses Google data for its it's one of the sources. Google Business Profile is a source. So what we always say to people is like, look, there's a lot of talk going on right now about what you need to focus on in terms of online brand, where you need to focus on all that. If you optimize for Google, you're already optimizing, obviously, for the most powerful platform there is in the world right now, but you're also impacting AIs that compete against Google with that information.
Wow.
Wow. What Scott, one thing I want to ask you, and maybe you can explain it, because we meet with a lot of clients, and they'll question when we're talking about their presence online. We'll literally be in a meeting one-on-one with a client. They're like, no, I'm good, right? Look, I
Yeah.
Google my name and look, I'm the first one that came up. Okay, well, first of all, you're on your computer. I can only imagine how many times you've Googled yourself. So that's saved in there. So let's do it from mine. And the bigger question is if clients out there don't know who Bernie Espinoza is, I don't know to Google you.
Right.
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 So the question is to the same for any realtor out there or anybody in the space. How am I going to come up more efficiently for the service that I provide to show up without people knowing who I am yet?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. It's a particular issue for real estate agents because there's so many of them. And so in my town of Arcadia, California, I think there's maybe 150,000 people in this city. So it's a small city. There's probably 200 chiropractors. There's
You
25,000
guys
real
got
estate
bad
agents.
backs there, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
There's 20,000 real estate agents or something. I mean, it's crazy. And so the point is that in terms of the internet, the idea here is that if I'm looking for a chiropractor, best chiropractor near me, then there's way less chiropractors for Google to show me. You have a better shot at competing, essentially. So there's always been the challenge on the real estate side. So there's a few things to talk about. First of all, you've all heard the riches are in the niches, right? So real estate agents, they have services that are often particular to them, right? Some of them have, special accreditations for working with seniors, working with first-time home buyers. They all do. I'll work with a senior. We'll all sell anything, I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you have particular knowledge, and if you have that information on your profiles, on Google, on your website, if you've built it right, you can rank for those very particular things. Because as we all know, in Google, I'll ask best realtor in 91006. Well, now we've narrowed it down to a very
Right.
specific zip code, so you have a better shot at ranking. But on an AI search, you guys do this too. The
Right.
questions are very different. It's not best realtor in 91006. It's my mom is selling her home. She's a senior citizen and she wants to work with someone who's local, but also speaks Spanish, because she's a Spanish first language speaker, whatever. That's a very descriptive query. You can build your profile to tell the story that matches that query, not because you know what the query is, but because you know what your particular talents,
Yeah.
services are. And so, to your question, David, the big thing is that number one, even though there are thousands of you who do similar work in your industry, in your area, that doesn't mean that you're not going to build the best possible profile that will have the best shot at ranking,
Right.
number
Right.
one. So you're
Yeah.
going to do that anyway. It's not like, well, it doesn't really matter. It
Right.
does matter. It matters just as much. But number two, it can be built in a way that actually reflects you as an individual with your particular talents and interests. And that's how you can actually rank for that. And that's getting more defined and happening more often
Yep.
every single day now, especially with the advent of AI. So yes, you can rank. Now, caveat to all of this. Anyone who ever came to us, and there's different companies who do what we do, and we act a little differently. Anyone who said, listen, I'm going to work with you and then I'm going to be number one, right? No one should ever promise that kind of outcome. No one can make that promise without cheating or lying. Right? So what you want to
It's the
do is you
American
want to say,
way. No,
look,
just kidding.
the key for you as a business owner is to grow your profile organically.
Right.
And there's never been a better time to start than right now.
Well, and let's also take it back to like, do you want to be number one or do you want to have more business and be successful? So I want to unpack that piece of it is that when people work with you, Scott, what can a realtor expect in terms of, hey, whether it's a refresh, a cleanup, a startup, or a launch in terms of their online presence? And how have you seen it impact the success of an agent when you get them to see that this isn't about ranking number one, this is about showing up and generating engagement? Is that
Yes.
fair to say?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And so when an agent comes to us, it doesn't matter if they've been a realtor for 40 years or they got their license yesterday. It's all the same story in the respect that two things need to happen. You need the best of you showing up when someone searches for you because they're all going to look for you if they've been referred
1,000,000%.
to you.
Yes.
And number two, you want to be able to compete when they're looking for somebody in your area. And compete can mean a bunch of different things. Do you want to be number one? Of course you want to be number one, but you want a
Yeah.
shot at actually showing up.
Right.
I just want a seat at the table.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
want to get a seat at the table.
I
Yeah.
think that's such an important differentiation, though, to know about those two things, because I think so many people in any kind of competitive space, it's this natural thing to be like, I want to be number one, right? When you have to
Right.
actually say, what does that mean to you to be number one? Is it really about being number one, or is it about earning this much income? Is it about improving or increasing the number of people that reach out to you for real estate needs?
Well, and the public is smarter now.
Way smarter.
So when they Google, best real estate in this zip code, or they're looking at different zip codes, they know that why is this same agent showing up for different parts of the county as the number
Right.
one agent? Well, they're paying for
Yeah.
ads. They're paying for that. The public knows this now.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's true. And it says ad. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an everyman. I'm of average intelligence. I'm just like everybody else. And I've always said, oh, that's the ad.
Yeah.
This is the real stuff.
Right.
Everybody does that. It doesn't take,
Yeah.
sometimes we'll talk to somebody and they'll say, well, a lot of my clients are senior citizens. Dude, they weren't in the 90s when the websites came out. And so they know how to use this
Yes.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
They know they're all using it.
Yeah.
My mom is almost 80 years old and she does everything online.
Yeah.
And she vets all this stuff online.
yeah.
She may not be, not maybe to the degree that we do, but still.
Oh, yeah.
So
I heard my mom
well,
using Siri the other day, and it was like, what? How do you know how to do that?
My mom, I don't know how she would operate without Siri.
Yeah.
But
There you go,
even sponsored stuff, you know what I mean? When they Google a big company name, I mean, most people know if you Google a company name, I'm not going to click on the one that says sponsored because now I'm going to be
Right.
targeted
Right.
everywhere. I'm going to scroll down to their normal, what shows up normal below, and
Yeah.
access their website that way.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. And this is well known in the industry that, that's a tired play. They're still trying to figure that out. And, people, and it's not to say that people shouldn't buy ads or they shouldn't
Right.
buy sponsored results. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying that this for the most part, the internet is free, and your ability to show yourself on the internet is free. And the great thing about what's happening right now, and it's been going on for some time, and it's happening more and more and more, is that you can organically reach a lot of people by telling the truth
Yeah, imagine
about your
that.
business, by simply showing your business. And I'll give you a quick example. This happens often in Google Business Profile, which is the most powerful branding mechanism you could possibly have. And we don't just do Google Business Profile for people, we do a bunch of different stuff. But you can take your business name. If my business name as a real estate agent was Scott Vancea Realtor, that's the business name. Well, you can actually, people will make their name Top Arcadia Real Estate Agent Scott Vancea. That's what they'll make their business name. Well, that's cheating, and Google knows it. And a bot will approve that business name, and you'll go to the top of search results, and then anybody can flag it, or the Google audits will find it, and they'll delete your profile. It's not worth it
Yeah.
because you can organically show up just for the business that you have and that you're building. And so it just comes back to that same idea, Bernie, that real estate is very competitive. People want to be number one. And
Yeah.
it's like you're number one at your business. You're doing a great job. Now build the profile around
Yeah.
your actual skills, experience, and talent, and then let the chips fall where they may.
I
Yeah.
feel like
I
in
love,
the
oh, sorry.
podcast we should insert that scene from Elf, the movie, with Will Ferrell when he walks into the pizza shop and says, "Congratulations, you're number one," because
For the
their sign
coffee.
says number
Exactly.
For the coffee.
Yeah, the coffee. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Best coffee in the
It's like
world.
yeah, it's like that.
Congratulations, you
Oh
did
my
it.
God.
Yes.
Right, there's
Yeah.
there's actually a story about a nail salon that it called itself Nail Salon Near Me. That was their business name, and this is
Genius.
true.
Genius.
And it
Brilliant.
was true. It worked.
Brilliant.
It worked. And so
Well,
anyway.
so talk a little bit about some of the success stories that you've seen. Because again, I love that we're having this conversation about it's not about being number one, it's about enhancing your business and finding as much opportunity as possible in a virtual environment without actually have to be in real life with people. This is a way for people to get to know you, to, learn that you're available to them. I mean, I think about when I was a little girl, you had the phone book and you had billboards. I mean, so
And they were alphabetical orders.
and it
You
was
had no
alphabetical
choice.
order. You like
Hey,
you called
that's it.
ABC Tool Shop
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever. But
Right.
share a little bit of the success stories that you've seen, and also too, I like to highlight the fact that you're based in California, and a lot of companies that I think that do a lot of the similar type of services are not necessarily local. Like I consider California being
Yeah.
here in the United States, but the fact that you're so knowledgeable about even us in Greater Phoenix, like it amazes me all the time how Scott knows all the names of all of our little boroughs.
Yeah.
So you know your stuff, which is amazing. So not to digress, but share a little bit about some of the agent stuff that you've seen happen, here in Phoenix or for other agents that you've worked with.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to. So there's nothing, as a business owner, there's nothing that makes you happier or more satisfied than to hear one of your customers in their success stories and getting texts from our clients saying, "Oh my God, so and so found me on Google. They found me because they saw this, they saw XYZ." That's always what we love to hear, and we get those messages daily. So it's wonderful. And so but what's interesting about this is that a lot of people hear this today and they'll think, well, it's too late for me. And that's what agents that we were bringing on board 6 years ago all thought. Well,
Yeah.
it's too late because look at all of these people who are number one. Well, some of those agents are number one now. And again, I don't want to make this about ranking, but they are ranking number one when they had nothing 6 years ago in a city that, with multi-million-dollar home value averages in Northern California, I'm thinking of specifically, whose profiles have now gotten to that point where they're showing up everywhere all the time because they started when they started. So there's no better time than starting now. And that's even more so, even more interesting because of this advent of AI, because there's this whole other world now that we can start participating in, and our businesses can start to build profiles in that is different, that is new to everybody, and by the way, is changing constantly. And I know we know that, but it's
Yeah.
changing so rapidly.
The
We used to
speed
think that
is
we
bananas.
used to think SEO was something that was never stable in terms of like the tactics to use. But the AI part is literally changing almost minute to minute. And we always see that as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to know that nobody's got this completely down. And that comes back to this whole idea of like, you have to build a business. And then you want to do the things that are going to show off your business in an organic way. And so, in terms of successes, we see them across the board, and they're not just things like ranking, they're actual phone
I
calls
love it.
of people finding them, people doing relocations because it's in the military area and
Love
you
it.
have the military pieces built into your profile. People looking to move to the new microchip facilities in the greater Phoenix area,
Yeah.
speaking to that within your profiles. This can all be done. And so we get those types of, have those type of conversations all the time. And a really nice thing to hear about are the broker owners, who are focused on the recruiting side.
Yep.
Broker owners who can actually associate or attribute new hires, new real estate agents on their team who found them because of their optimized profiles,
I love
because they
it.
have that recruiting, the careers stuff, all that built into their online profile, which they didn't have before. They just
Yeah.
thought, it's on my website. I can tell them to go there. The idea is we need to grease those wheels and make it sure that it's showing up exactly where it needs to show up and that people find it, you know, immediately and you have a shot at that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so,
It really,
but
I
yeah,
think today, like with any business person, they set up their goals, their mission, their vision, their core values, the things that they're, this year we need to do this. This is what we're striving to accomplish. And all of those things for people listening, any goal that you set up can be translated to a digital effort. And I think what I'm hearing from you, Scott, is just that. Like, if you want to recruit, it's not just about being out there talking to different realtors. It's about what does the digital effort look like as well. And I think that should come full circle for a lot more folks in terms of what's available to them. The internet is free, like you said.
yeah.
And then, getting some coaching or some education from Optimize 5 would be a massive enhancement for most people's efforts. I mean, they're going to achieve the results they're looking for probably faster or more efficiently. And I think that's a link to connect for folks because I think everybody thinks about online as I got a listing or I need to find a buyer or a seller. But the reality is, what are your business goals? Because that can translate to a digital effort.
Well, and so many new people, to touch on what you just said, how do I relate to online? Their online is social media.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's not the online. I'm gonna date ourselves now. That's not the online we grew up with.
No.
Social media has a different name for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Scott, let me ask you a question. I wrote this down at the very beginning. You just touched on it. How do you guys keep up
I was
with
gonna ask, that
everything
was my
changing?
next question, too.
Just to prove, I'm not stealing your question.
That's so funny. I was going to say the same
mean,
thing. How do you keep up?
How do you keep up?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a few ways that you would think that we would do that. And the obvious ones is, we're alerted to all the latest and greatest by using Google Alerts, right? And being in certain groups.
You're your
being
own
in-
best client.
Exactly. Being in all of the groups and who are sort of on the bleeding edge of, let's say, on the AI side, talking about the latest and greatest tactics. But at the end of the day, again, I don't mean to simplify it. Go to AI literally every single day and ask it similar but different questions and look at the sources. And that's what we all do now,
Wow.
right? Is we see what the outcomes are and we see what the source is. They tell us what the source is most of the time. And so we can look at that and go, well, now they're using this as a source. They didn't do that yesterday, but they were doing that 3 weeks ago. So something that we thought that when I say they, I mean the Claude
The
or
bots.
Complexity, whatever. Right. Something that we thought they did and decided to stop doing, they're not stopping doing it, they're doing it again. And so, sure, it's confusing, but at the end of the day, if we can actually impact that outcome and keep checking what our outcomes are and seeing how they're changing, that's literally how everyone is doing it because no one really knows what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Right? No one really truly knows. They know the foundational piece, but they don't know what the latest and greatest is until it happens. And so we're always moving and trying to figure out what that is. And one thing I will say for sure, and it's something that keeps coming up, real estate, all business owners, everybody in the tech world keeps hearing about how things like, well, SEO is dead. Now it's SEO is GEO or whatever you want, AEO, whatever you want to
Right.
call it. It is that
Yeah.
now. It's you actually need to do SEO and so that's going to change back and forth 1,000 times. All what really matters is the outcomes, and that's what we keep just being
Yeah.
hyper focused on.
What do you, I mean, this is, I feel like you just answered it, but maybe you didn't. Like, what's next for Optimize 5? What do you got in the tank? Like, what's in the thinking machine right now that you feel as though, whoa, we're just starting to have these conversations, or this is something that's niche or differentiator for Optimize 5?
Well, something that we started doing about a year and a half ago, and now we're full throttle on it, and it's constantly evolving, is we build websites as well. We don't build them just for real estate agents, though that's about 90% of our website customers are realtors. Because going back to what we spoke to earlier, the value of a website now has changed, especially as it relates to AI. So of course, we're leaning really hard into the AI side because that's what everyone is leaning into, and that's where we know the future is for now in the near term. And so we want to be able to be on the bleeding edge of that and know the latest and greatest. And so developing websites that are built for AI search, and that's a critical
That's
piece.
huge.
Real estate website companies today, for the most part, they're built really well. Most of them are really great companies, and they make fast websites for the most part. Speed is very important when it comes to a website being read quickly from an SEO perspective and an AI perspective. But being built for AI, what that actually means, having websites that are built that actually invite AIs to read the website quickly, tell it where to go in the website, where not to go into the website. That's where we're spending a lot of focus right now, because websites can be made in a way that they can have even more influence over the outcomes of an AI search query.
That's
So,
really cool.
how funny is it, right? So, everything you just said, back up 15 years ago, and we're talking to somebody about a website, and just replace every time you said AI with the consumer. So, everything you just talked about is
It's true.
how AI can read it, how AI can find this on the website quickly. How
Right.
Yeah.
it's just it's a 180.
Totally. It's amazing. It's like this intermediary that we have to now implant in between the consumer and the realtor,
Yeah.
so that they can actually put it in front of the consumer. Because before, that part's been figured out now. It's like you want the consumer to be able to read your website well. You want them to be able to navigate it. You want them to be able to get to the places that you want them to go to quickly. That's great. That's all basically been figured out. Not that everyone does it well. You want that to
Right.
be done very well. But like you just said, David, now we want AI to read it so that it can spit out the information to the customer who may never go to your website.
Right.
But now they're looking through AI for the same results.
Yeah. It's
Exactly.
really
It's
kind of
almost like a full
bananas.
circle.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, you hear this frequently now in our space and just in the world, not just in the real estate space, but, you got to get on that AI bandwagon. Otherwise, you kind of get just left behind and you'll be obsolete, to be frank. I mean, I'm not trying to be fear factor, but I think that a lot of folks are really talking about you have to leverage that to enhance your business, or you're going to be obsolete because no one's going to find you. No one's going to see you. You're not going to, your resources won't be found. And I think that that's what you just described about having a website, which we've all thought of as that digital landing pad, the digital business card, is now a really vital part, critical part to your business based on what you just described, even just that AI feature.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the AI story, like you said, Bernie, people are kind of afraid of it. They're like, and they'll come to say, like, how do I show up in AI? How do you make me
Yep.
show up? And, they're just like, this is where I need to dominate now. And what I always come back to is everything that you said, Bernie, is true. But do not neglect that 92% of business search is still done on
On
Google
Google,
itself,
for sure.
which, as we all know, if you Google anything now, the AI
Yes.
snippet comes up first,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So Google ain't going anywhere.
Right. Yep.
And
Agreed.
if you optimize for Google, you're already in a really good place. It's not everything,
Yeah.
but it's the foundation.
It's the foundation. So
Yeah.
singular, if you can, I mean, what's singular piece of advice you would give to a realtor right now?
Optimize your Google business profile.
That's what I hear
And
as well.
that doesn't mean you have one. Having one could hurt you if it's
Not done
a
right.
shell.
Yes.
Right. So make sure that it is built right. Images, website attached, products, postings, services, categories, make sure that that is built out properly. That's the number one thing. There's lots more that we could talk about, but that's the number one thing that they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you have been you and your company have been such a tremendous asset to us in terms of being a conduit to the realtor and providing value and, bringing them to the table, so to
Well,
speak.
and selfishly helping us too, with
That's
our
what I'm
business
saying. Yeah,
too.
we're a conduit to it, bringing the value, and I think it's been amazing. I mean, for anybody listening, we can connect anybody to Optimize 5. You guys work nationally. You're all over. You're everywhere. So you've got a
Yep.
growing team, and I got to tell you, probably one of the best longstanding partners that we've had, where everybody we connect you guys to is so happy.
Well,
They're
and-
so impressed and happy with even just the education piece. Even if they don't click go, they're like, whoa, what an education.
Well, and you guys haven't stopped. I think that's a lot of it, right? Just the exact question we just asked. You guys make sure to stay at the forefront of everything
Yeah.
that's going on. I mean, a meeting you had with an agent a month ago could be different today.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it takes folks like yourselves too, though, who are also acknowledging that your, lawyer's title, the best of you needs to show up.
Yes.
And that business partners want to work with other businesses who are tech forward, at least, right?
Absolutely.
Just like a brokerage, an agent, a prospective agent who's looking to work with a brokerage, they're going to look you up. They want to see a company that they're going to work with that's got the latest and greatest and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, it shows up well, and then that reflects on them, reflects on you as a business. And so kudos to you guys for making sure that that mattered, because there's a lot of title companies who don't do a very good job at this. And this is actually an issue within title and escrow, I think, in particular, kind of behind on that, on the tech side. And so you guys have been, really great about making sure that the best of you show up, and then you eat your own dog food, so to speak. So,
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. I know we invested in that. We're like, let's practice what we preach.
Yeah.
exactly.
I feel like we could have you on so frequently, like, tech update with Scott on a
It's
regular.
going to be different next week.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make this more reoccurring for
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you so much for joining us, Scott. Any closing, remarks or anything for us other than you're amazing?
Yeah, thank you. No, you guys are amazing too. And for anybody who's listening, you can go to optimize5.com if you wanted to learn more.
Perfect.
There's tons of free resources on our website. You can book a meeting with us. Those meetings are free.
Yes.
Like David mentioned earlier, and Bernie, when we meet with a realtor, that's free. But, you can educate yourself online. Most of the stuff that you can do to improve your online profile is free. If you hire a company, you're hiring a company to get the latest and greatest information so you can build it even better. But the internet is free, and so you've got to leverage it. And
Love
I'll
it.
say it one more time, the number one most powerful branding mechanism today is your Google business profile.
I love it. Thank you. So Optimize 5, and that's optimize and the number 5.com. So thank you,
right.
Scott.
Thanks,
You're
Scott.
awesome. Appreciate you.
Bernie, David, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I look forward to the next one.
All right. See
Awesome.
you later.